I sometimes wonder now, is there an advantage to being actually a smaller size organization, a little less red tape, a little less fewer legacy systems? Is there an opportunity for quicker adoption, for easier setup of cross-functional teams, that kind of thing?
Absolutely. I think the biggest companies are the most handicapped right now. I mean, they're publicly traded. They have to be much more cautious. They can't move quickly. There's PII. I mean, there's everywhere you go, there's red tape. Um, but at the same time, I think that in the future, they will eventually have their own systems and processes where I think a smaller company will do more outsourcing because they're not going to need to develop in-house. So I think in the long term, you're going to have huge companies that probably do a little bit more in-house. Maybe they don't need SAP anymore. They just can build it themselves. That's probably 5 years out because of all that red tape. And you do need a lot of data scientists if you're going to be building all of this in-house. You're not going to want to pay because these tools are expensive. It is not, there's absolutely a question of, yes, I can go get my roadmap done in 2 weeks, but do I need to? Like that's going to cost me a pretty penny. Is there ROI to substantiate that? For many companies, that won't exist. But in terms of the question, I think the answer is always small companies can move much faster, and bigger companies just can't. I mean, they have to move a huge organization, and it's very hard to move a big ship. But I don't think it's going to stop them from winning, but they won't win as quickly. I think that smaller companies can just make a lot of moves faster to win a lot quicker than them.
The other thing that is sort of a new challenge, I would say, is that these technology decisions used to lie with the IT group and the IT department. They would be the ones picking SAP or Oracle and customize it and all of that. Now that onus falls on the business leader, on the supply, on the director of logistics, right? Who has to now understand the various logistics tools and options, and they're probably getting bombarded. I mean, I think you and I we missed each other at Manifest. But I mean, this was what 1,500 tech companies, I think, attending. There's no way, or it's very difficult for a practitioner, for a shipper to work themselves through all of these tech companies, and then lots of them being very like 2, 3 years old, right? And so that's now a new responsibility. How are they? Do you have advice, for a shipper, for somebody who is on the front line, like how to discover these solutions, how to evaluate them, vet them? How do I go about that?
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think many of those companies will survive because you used to have to use a third-party company to leverage AI, and I just think now they've made it so easy to just do a lot of this in-house. So my suggestion is go to your existing partners and be transparent with them. Say, here's where I'm trying to get to. How can you help me? And build something together. Maybe you don't want to be building something that you're going to be stuck to them for, but be thoughtful from that perspective. But you know, most of the companies that listen to this are not tech companies. They move products, they do something else. So use partners that you're already using to grow with them. And then in terms of new companies out there, I don't know that I would trust many that aren't fully vetted. So I would speak to references and then do a pilot. So start small. But I would, you used to have to. I always go back to my drill and my screwdriver, and maybe I'll tweak it for this example. When you buy something from IKEA, let's just say your son wants something, you get an instruction manual, use a screwdriver, it worked fine. Now a drill is a power drill. So you make sure it has a battery, and then you can use it. You can now build it quicker. There are still some people that are going to say, listen, I'm never going to use a power tool. Like I'm not comfortable with them. So they're going to outsource it. So outsource it to companies that know how to use power drills. That's fine. Like that will work great for many organizations. If you're going to say like, listen, I get that I used to be able to build a house and it would take me a year. And now I have all these new tools. I can build it in 9 months, but I'm never going to build a house. That's just not me. That's not my team. So like find me a contractor that can do it, and I will pay them a premium because they're going to do it better than my people. I think that many people in our space will still outsource to professionals. Maybe they're going to build some things in house and they're going to say, just, give me that room. I'll make it. I know how to do that. But still, like in any conversation, go to established players. There's really no need for these new AI companies because what used to be really hard for companies to do, it's now just become a lot easier. So go to trusted providers and then see if they can make that win. I have a feeling that You don't need all these new gadgets because the new companies that have the data and the experience will already have it. And I think that the winners in the near future are experts in the industries, not just pure tech companies. Because frankly, if you just want a pure tech company, you could do it. If you want, what you need is someone who understands the problem, who can iterate with your team, who can build it together. And that's where you're going to win.
I think that's a really important point. I think AI made it so easy, the Gen AI wave, to create a tech company now, and then now the good ones are drowned out almost by the noise because now there's so many that claim they can do everything, right? And then on the flip side though, the the competitive edge comes in from the domain knowledge. It comes in from having run supply chains, right? And knowing, because it's much more, I feel like, about tribal knowledge and understanding the mindset of people who are actually in the warehouse or doing that work, rather than just the data or just the technologies that are supposed to work together and, then they don't.
Yeah, I mean, I can't predict the future of when we're going to live in a world where there are no people and you just have robots talking to robots. So I'm assuming that is eventually that might happen. But all I can think about is a realistic world, and the people who I think are going to win, who have job security, are experts in any industry. Because realistically, if you pair that expert with great AI, they'll be able to do a lot of the coding themselves. They'll be able to build themselves, but they need to be an expert. And that means they need to invest in themselves. And if you can help that person just achieve more, then everyone is winning. But I don't see a world where you just need to, as an expert now, hire all these, tons of AI companies to support you. The company has .ai in the name, you probably don't need it. Figure out the actual problem and then, partner with an established company to help win.
And we do see a lot of AI companies where that tool that what they offer suddenly next month has already been integrated or developed by the established player, right? Like I would say the main ones I find interesting are the ones that are a little more overarching, right? Like if it is somebody who connects the various different systems together, like if I'm a TMS provider, I focus on making my TMS better, more productive with an AI tool, but I'm not necessarily the one connecting to my WMS and other
Right.
systems. But the ones that do that, the only thing I see struggling, why they're struggling, is then they struggle with the use case, right? Like if I do connect three, four different established legacy systems, that's great. But what do I do with it, right? Like where's my starting? I can do a lot of great things, but where do I start now, right? Like that sort of
And
conundrum.
it's we can't let this, AI tell us what we're doing. So the way I say it to our team, we started off the year with a vision. Here's where we're going to be at the end of the year. That vision is not changing. Maybe we'll get there faster, but we're not going to just become a new company now because of AI. We still have our principles. We still have advice. We still know why our customers come to us. So we'll just give them more and faster. And that's why I think everyone should lead. So it's what can you now do because you have better tools, not, a completely pivot of your organization.
Do you see, any of these issues around fear of adoption? People like the whole replacement of job kind of thing. I do see a lot of people really leaning into it, like on an individual basis. And I think becoming an AI expert is a really helpful aspect, skill set, and so forth to not be replaced. But we also do see, I don't know, we in our last roundtable we talked about an organization that used to do planning with 300 people, and now they're doing it with 13 people, right? Are these 180 people really, did they reassign them to different jobs inside of that company? Maybe, maybe not, right? Like that's I would say I've always been a fan of creative destruction. I mean, that's just how we evolve. But this is just evolving so quickly, so adapting to that quick change may be painful.
There will be a lot of layoffs. I don't know how you can. I mean, from our perspective, we can just run much faster, which means we just don't need as many people. There is always the question of what else can I do? And that answer is there. But it's a question from my perspective of if doing that's going to actually create more revenue. And if not, then I don't need to run that fast. I don't need to create more and more and more and more if no one's going to buy it. So at some point, there does need to be a reckoning of do I need as many people as I can, especially if these tools are expensive and you want to make it make sense. I would say that's a bigger problem for technology providers than it is for anyone that is on, the shipper side. From their perspective, they're just going to be able to be able to actually achieve what they haven't been able to do in so long. Because if you talk to any of them, they're understaffed and they always want to be able to do more and to be able to run faster and be more efficient. But it's just always a question of timing for them. It's prioritization. So AI will allow us to remove that as a block and just be able to do more efficiently. Um, if you are a person listening to this, you should absolutely be investing in yourself. There will be a reckoning. That doesn't mean that people won't work. People will work. It's a question of what you will be doing and what, that might change. So invest in yourself. Think about what your strengths are. Learn about all of these tools because there is still a lot of demand for AI usage, AI power users, understanding how to use them effectively in the supply chain space or in any space. So it would be unfortunate if you are laid off and then don't now know how to use AI because I can't imagine there's going to be any interview you're a part of where they're not talking about AI and how are you using it? How are you going to help us win with it? So, yeah, it is a scary place to be, but it is also an opportunities. We will work, maybe we're going to work 4 hours a day, not 5 days. So the world will change, but you want to be changing with it. You don't want to be left behind.